Hey guys, it's Legendary Grimlock here, and thank you once again, Danny Boy, for this amazing thumbnail. So let's begin here. We're going to Powescale, Fall of Cybertron Optimus, and we're going to actually do something differently this time. We're going to go through everything kind of a bit backwards, if you will. So let's start off with his firepower. Optimus Prime regularly possesses a Path Blaster. That's kind of his common weapon in both the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games. It's kind of just basically his common weapon here. And his common heavy weapon is apparently the thermal rocket launcher. So with these weapons and with his prime level stats, with the Matrix of Leadership also giving him a much needed boost here, his firepower should be greater, if not on the same footing as characters like Warpath and Perceptor, who are some of the heavy hitting Autobots in, well, the canonicity of the game. There's also Scattershot as well, so we'll count him in this one as well. Warpath being someone whose firepower should be greater than the Wreckers as well. And this gives him a added boost here because the Wreckers are known to go toe-to-toe with Devastator and have actually been able to harm him with his firepower. Same with Perceptor. He should be in the same category as characters like Shockwave, being able to eradicate the Insecticons as well. And his pretty much his cannon and firepower should be above high level Decepticons like Leapers. And I also think his firepower should be above Jazz, who has been able to stagger and even harm Bruticus with his firepower in the game. Okay, this is actually noted because Bruticus is, ridiculously strong and tough in the game, and Jazz has been able to pretty much be able to harm him with his firepower, even to the point where the Bruticus has to go on and make a defensive assault. Now let's move to strength here. Easily should be comparable to Ironhide, Warpath, Brawl, etc., who have been able to take down Decepticons with their bare hands and even, well, rip him in half here. Ironhide is a character who's commonly known to do this as well. He's even been able to go toe-to-toe with the pre-Dinobot version of Grimlock and actually win. But this might fall into combat rather than strength as well, because Grimlock does seem to be stronger than him, even in his pre-Dinobot phase here. Speaking of which, he should compare to the rest of the Autobots who have been able to harm and actually deal damage against Leapers and Decepticon Titans, and even compared to some of the stronger Decepticons like Brawl, Quake, and Demolisher, as well as being able to go toe-to-toe with Megatron himself, who have also been able to fight against Enforcers. And if you guys want a really solid scale for Enforcers, Megatron actually says they're insanely formidable. So even Megatron himself is pretty much stating that these guys are some of the most formidable Autobots and Decepticons in history. In terms of his also other parts of his AP, he's able to casually knock back a Trypticon very easily. And he's actually able to one-shot a Trypticon that had his weapons disabled, making him basically a Godzilla at this point. He still had his laser breath and everything. And this is impressive because Trypticon was able to pretty much produce a meteor-level attack by simply just falling to the surface of Cybertron pretty easily. And this actually wrecked Iacon, even producing a force that should be considered greater than some nuclear bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So yeah, this dude was pretty much coming down with that force and basically tanked it like it was no problem. Yet here comes Optimus Prime. Once he's finally disabled and pretty much bare, he's getting one-shotted. Next off, we have durability. Optimus Prime has taken a sniper shot from Starscream and a beating from Onslaught and Brawl. And even when he recovers, weakened by the way, Brawl hits him again and it merely dazes him. This shows that Optimus Prime is capable of taking on some insane punishment here. Because here's the thing, in-game, neuron shock rifles or neuron pulse rifles or whatever, the snipers, are actually capable of one-shotting characters. That's pretty much how they are and how they're portrayed in the game. They're known to one-shot characters, and Optimus Prime was hit dead on at point-blank range by Starscream. Considering the strength level of Brawl should be stronger than Ironhide and comparable to Warpath due to their tank-like physique and their tank-like firepower as well. They should be really comparable. So this means that they're stronger than characters that are able to rip casual Decepticons they have. Oh, I also got to mention he got a pimp smack from War for Cybertron Megatron and actually withstood the firepower, the same firepower that was actually able to harm Omega Supreme when he was able to, actually was in a charging phase as well. So this means that Optimus Prime would actually have city level durability, even if you want to say he was taking attacks from Trypticon as well. And being able to, take attacks from Starscream, you might just laugh that off, right? But you guys also have to remember that this Starscream in the War for Cybertron is actually a fighter. He's a dirty fighter, but again, he fights dirty. Onslaught himself is actually no slouch either. He should at least be above Shockwave, if not above, probably in the same playing field as characters like Ironhide, and definitely above characters like Ironhide and Cliffjumper, who are capable of fighting against Leapers, no problem, and even against the Decepticon Cloakers, who basically have firepower greater than that of the Reapers. So again, yeah, these guys are no slouch. In terms of combat speed, Optimus Prime should easily be around FTL. This is due to scaling to Seekers and aerial bots and being able to react to them in their vehicle modes, even being able to dodge them when they're like flying at you. This is actually pretty prevalent because Optimus Prime in the first part of War for Cybertron was actually able to fight against Starscream along with Ratchet and Bumblebee, and they were all able to keep up with him relatively. And if you guys don't really believe the whole, moving in space should be considered light speed or whatever, these guys are casually moving in space, again, as you can see here, and that should count as, light speed. But then they're reacting to Trypticon's laser, which should count as FTL, okay? So this means these guys are reacting at FTL speeds and have LS travel speed. This actually is pretty prevalent even in other forms of media, because your travel speed does not equate to your combat speed. So Optimus Prime's vehicle speed would be much slower than his combat speed. As for his vehicle speed, I wouldn't put that at light speed. I would definitely put it at maybe super to hypersonic, because they could actually boost themselves with like jet propulsion. So again, I think that hypersonic, or at least around like Mach 5 vehicle speed, is very prevalent. Now let's go into intelligence here. Optimus Prime possesses great battle intelligence, and was actually one of the reasons why the War for Cybertron actually lasted longer. Despite the fact that Decepticons were able to have the upper hand, Optimus Prime was able to push out the Decepticons multiple times by placing not only key Autobot figures like Grimlock, Ironhide, and Warpath, and Jazz, and etc. at certain points here, but he was able to organize them to the point where they were able to push back the much stronger Decepticon forces. As for battle experience, as for pretty much, combat skill, right? He's able to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Megatron and actually being able to produce a win or loss. So this basically means they stalemated each other, because both sides have them pretty much losing one way or they win another way. It was a 50-50 fight. So in all honesty, yeah, Optimus Prime has the skill level to actually go toe-to-toe with Megatron, who is a veteran gladiator, along with other characters like Soundwave, Grimlock, and etc. So Optimus Prime is actually exceptional when it comes to hand-to-hand combat skill, and should have gladiatorial levels of combat skill as well. So this is where we have to go into hacks and abilities. Now, hear me out. This may seem a lot, but Optimus Prime hacks also have hacks negations. For example, he was actually able to overpower and nullify the Dark Spark. Okay, now the Dark Spark is a weapon of probably of the Primes as well, being the antithesis to the Matrix of leadership. This Dark Spark was able to empower Megatron to the point where he could bend the fabric of the universe and the inhabitants to his will. So this means that the Dark Spark does have this like universal levels of power, but it may actually depend on the user, as we never seen a Megatron actually use that to its fullest capabilities. We also see that in a beam clash, Optimus Prime not only overpowers it, but it's very possible that he sent it to another universe, that being the Bayverse. And considering how Lockdown was using it to actually freeze time and actually stop it, being able to warp the reality around him, and even being able to use the dark spark to actually open rifts in space and time to teleport around his opponents, I think it's safe to say that Optimus Prime definitely didn't fight the full totality of the dark spark. So, in conclusion, Optimus Prime has these high level stats here, and I think the best way and the best tier for him for the fall of Cybertron is at least city to around mountain level. That is seems very prevalent, with some decent hack negation, possibly even universal levels of hack negation. This is Legendary Grimlock. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. Peace.